What's up, Starcraft fans? This week, Blizzard announced and released patch 4.11.3. It contains mostly balanced patches for co-op. There are some stuff for war chest and versus, but I don't really touch those, so I'll probably just skip over them. Let's go over Brutal Plus first. Yeah. Let's see. Brutal Plus. Lower the difficulty of Brutal Plus 1 through Brutal Plus 5. Brutal Plus 1 through Brutal Plus 4 are now capped, or is, I guess, now capped at 3 mutators. All Brutal Plus missions are now much more heavily weighted towards having fewer mutators. Okay, so guys, here's how Brutal Plus works. Blizzard has identified 50 mutators, roughly 50, slightly more than 50, to be used in Brutal Plus. Each of these mutators is assigned a difficulty point in this column, with 1 being the easiest and 10 being the most difficult. For example, Eminent Domain has 1 point, Twister has 2 points, Magnificent has 4 points, Slim Pickings has 5 points, Minesweeper has 6 points, Poopigators has 8 points, and of course Void Rift has 10 points. So all the Brutal Plus difficulties from Brutal Plus 1 up to Brutal Plus 6. Select from these mutators until a point total is reached. They just keep selecting, for example, Polarity, Just Die, Magnificent, Speed Freaks. They keep selecting until a point total is reached. The point total for your Brutal Plus mission depends on what Brutal Plus difficulty you have selected. So let's go there. This is where the downscaling comes in. In previous versions of Brutal Plus 1 is 8 to 10 points or something. Brutal Plus 2 is 11 to 12 points. Brutal Plus 3 is 13 to 14 points. That means you'll keep selecting from these mutators until the points here total the points here. And the previous version, as I said, it went all the way to Brutal Plus 6, which selects mutators until they are 19 to 20 difficulty points. This is what Blizzard changed in the patch. As you can see now, Brutal Plus 1 is now from 4 points to 6 points. Brutal Plus 2 is 7 points to 8 points. It's downscaled. So you can see it goes 9 to 10 for Brutal 3, 11 to 12 for Brutal Plus 4, 15 to 16 for Brutal Plus 5, and 19 to 20 for Brutal Plus 6. As you may have noticed, they omitted 13 to 14 points and 17 to 18 points this time. I have no idea why either. I feel like this just adds to the gap between Brutal Plus 4 and Brutal Plus 5, and between Brutal Plus 5 and Brutal Plus 6. Personally, I prefer that they just bridge the gap or something. Anyway, Brutal Plus 1 became a lot easier, as you can see. Since the hardest mutator you can get at list level is either, let me go here, either Avenger, microtransactions, mutual assured destruction, power overwhelming, slim pickings, or void reanimators. You cannot get kill bots. You cannot get kill bots or higher on Brutal Plus 1 because the minimum number of points you can get, or the minimum number of mutators, is 2. You are required to get an additional 1, but not exceed 6 points in total. That's how Brutal Plus works. This aspect of the change is okay, but it still does nothing about possible synergies between mutators. Double-edged, for example. Go back to double-edged. Let me see. I think it's only brutal difficulty 3 by yeah, here we go. Double-edged and what was the other one? And void reanimators, for example, will synergize extremely well on missed opportunities, but it is actually only rated Brutal Plus 2 because 5 points plus 3 points is only 8 points. That's Brutal Plus 2. To be clear, it won't be a common thing, but it's yet another case of randomness screwing over players. The good news is that only Brutal Plus 1 is playable on a solo queue. So people who will play Brutal Plus 2 and possibly encounter this rule, this very bad rule, will be able to reroll this combination very easily. Also, there are some players who do not like mutators but want, for example, more enemy attack waves and more harass from the enemy. Personally, I disagree with attack waves because it just makes Abathur and Dahaka even stronger, because they gain biomass and essence from it. And I disagree with harass since I did not sign up for 1v1. I signed up to fight the AI, giving the enemy more upgrades, maybe plus 10 attack upgrades on the higher brutal pluses. And I'm just throwing it out there. My personal feelings about this is that it's a nice way for me to get views off Brutal Plus 6 videos, but fun-wise, adding more and more mutators is not what drew me personally to co-op in the first place. I started playing co-op in 2016 because I loved the campaign, and I wanted to play it with different sets of armies than what I actually had. For example, you could play as Zerg on the Last Stand mission from Legacy of the Void, aka Temple of the Past in co-op. That is not possible in the actual campaign, but it is possible in co-op. Also, interacting with another player without having to play against him or her, or really anyone else, aside from the AI, seemed really fun to me. It's not about getting better. It was all about fun, and fun at that time happened to mean clearing out the maps and then destroying Amon thoroughly. As you can imagine, I'm not exactly thrilled to play Brutal Plus, and people complaining about Brutal being too easy always seem to come up as a bit elitist to me. I liked co-op because I liked co-op as it was before Brutal Plus, and I never asked for harder difficulties. Still, this is what we have now, and personally, I don't think it ruins the game for me, since I can still play on regular Brutal, unless I need content for a video. Now for the actual changes to the commanders. So we have Arcturus Mengsk. Base Imperial Mandate generation increased from 17 over 240 seconds to 40 every 240 seconds. So the base Imperial Mandate generation increased. So even without getting your blimps up, you will more than double your mandate generation. This is good especially for sub-massive Arcturus mechs. They will be able to use their top bars more, which is one of the complaints I had when I was leveling Arcturus mechs. I did not have use of my top bars that much because I didn't have a lot of Imperial Mandate. So the Imperial Support increases Imperial Mandate generation by 1 point every 240 seconds, up from 120. This is not a buff, this is actually a nerf. They halved the Mandate generation from laborers from 1 every 240 to 1 every 120. Royal Guards though, they made up for it. The Royal Guards now generate twice the amount of Imperial support across the board. This means that they increase Imperial Mandate generation by the same amount as before. What? This part's a bit confusing. I've read it and yeah, some parts still confuse me. Generate twice the amount of Imperial support across the board. This means they increase Imperial Mandate generation by the same amount as before. Yeah, this part is really confusing to me. Imperial Witnesses now gain increased vision and detection radius in Patriot mode, matching its indoctrinate range. That's nice. So the dots I see around the big circle will now match the detection of the Imperial Witness or the Imperial Blimp. So that's good. That's a buff. The Black Hammer's Overwatch mode base range increased from 5 to 7. This is good. This will improve the usability of the Black Hammers. I have not been using them a lot in my streams or even in my videos, so having a better Black Hammer might change my mind about them. Tactical missile build time from the Royal Academy decreased from 180 to 90 seconds. And tactical missiles, both from nuclear annihilation, damage reduced from 150 plus 200 versus structures to 150 plus 100 versus structures. I think this is because they saw my video on Arcturus mechs on Scythe of Amon solo. It's probably something like that. The nuclear missile launched by the nuclear annihilation, damage reduced from 500 plus 500 versus structures to 500 plus 300 versus structures. Yeah, they definitely saw my video, and they probably did not see me using that. Starting Imperial Mandate decreased from 2 Imperial Mandate. This is the big one, I think. This is the big nerf for me. Starting Imperial Mandate decreased from 2 Imperial Mandate per level to 1 Imperial Mandate per level. This is the mastery levels. Maximum benefit decreased from 60 to 30. This effectively means that the double bunker expansion is no more. Arcturus players will be forced to expand with only one bunker, and the solo you saw me use on Scythe of Amon will no longer be applicable, since the one bunker will not be enough to hold off all those forces there. So yeah, tough luck. That's yeah. I mean, overall, there was a buff to the Black Hammer, there was a buff to the Royal Guard, but which is counteracted by the labor energy regeneration. Imperial Witnesses, the blimps got buffed for their vision range. Missiles were nerfed. So yeah, I will not pass judgment on Arcturus mechs for now as to whether the buffs or the changes were overall good or overall bad, because personally, number one, I have not played Mengsk for months. I've played it for a month, which I don't think is enough to really pass down judgment for me, since I play all commanders and I have to play them set quasi equally, so I have not been playing Arcturus extensively, so I cannot really pass judgment as to whether he's one of the stronger or one of the weaker commanders. There are a lot of commanders, guys. It's hard to place a new one right off the bat. So yeah, I'll have to play Arcturus a little bit more to judge for myself how strong or how weak he really is. But personally, I feel that the mandate increase, the starting mandate increase, was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. It's like Blizzard noticed people having fun expanding as Arcturus, and they went like, "Fun detected, must destroy." Like, come on, Blizzard, let us have our fun. What's so wrong about having people expand faster? It's not that much faster, it's just faster. Come on, guys. Anyway, let's proceed. Raynor and Amon. Yamato cannon casting time decreased from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds. This is an overall buff to Amon, because the only commander who received a similar buff is Raynor. None of the others. I guess Stetmann, yeah, we can go here next. Gary's Agorb satellite overcharge and semi-stable mass transportation abilities have their cooldown decreased by 25%. Super Gary no longer recharges abilities more quickly relative to Gary. Okay, so some of Super Gary's abilities got shifted over to regular Gary, so I guess that's incentive to not rush out Super Gary immediately. The Mecha Infestors UMIC charging protocols slop range increased from 5 to 23. I think this means you can use the Infestor for longer. What I think people might use this for is when they're doing a hero solo and they want the Infestors just for the energy regeneration. They could have the Infestor use the recharge for a hero who's in the middle and then retreat. This is what I think the 23 range is for. I'm not sure, but could be. Mecha Roach health decreased from 110 to 75. That's actually a big nerf. Roach Egg decreased from 110 to 75 health. Ravager health decreased from 120 to 80. That's about a 33% decrease. Ravager Egg health decreased from 120 to 80. Man, these are huge nerfs, guys. The Stetmann cannon casting time decreased from 3 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Stetmann cooldown decreased from 30 to 0. Okay. Mecha Battle Carrier Lord's max Mecha Locus Scepter count increased from, that's a mouthful, increased from 4 to 6. Build Mecha Locus Scepter Agonergy cost decreased from 75 to 50. I guess that's a thing. At least they can build more for less. Maximum Agonergy pool increased from 1% per point to 2% per point. Okay, so it's back up to 60. Again, there are some nerfs, there are some buffs. I think they really want to discourage people from using Infestors. I don't know, guys. Just because some people like using Infestors, it doesn't mean it's the only way to play. Stetmann has a lot of options. Just because someone prefers to use Infestors for mutations, because again, it's their identity. It's what it's what their unique advantages over Amon. So just because they have an identity doesn't mean you have to nerf it to the ground just so you can force everyone to use the same army, charge at the same time, and all that stuff. Come on, guys. You don't have to do this all the time. Anyway, there are some buffs though. Regular Gary got buffed. The Mecha Battle Carrier Lord got buffed. Also, the Stet Zone got buffed. The Maxim Egonogy pool. Yeah, I might have to test this too. So yeah, I will withhold judgment on Stetmann for now, as well as Raynor and Amon, because yeah, I've yet to actually see how their buffs and nerfs play out, and I can't really determine for now whether it's a net buff or a net nerf. Again, it's easy to say from reading whether it's good or not, but you only actually really know when you play them. So yeah, I will withhold my judgment for now. Tychus. Blaze's weapon range increased from 0.5 to 2.5. Okay, so additional range. Width decreased from 1.6 to 2. Or increased rather for 1.6. So basically they're buffing Blaze all around. Splash length increased from 2.5 to 3. Yeah, they really want to encourage more people to use Blaze. And I feel like what they should improve here is the spread damage for when the unit that is burning dies. It should spread out to units further out to really make it to triple G. Kev Rattlesnake West's Mobius Aggression Blend upgrade now provides 15% additional attack speed, down from 20%. Okay, so it's a 5% nerf. I think what they want to do is Lieutenant Nikara's Restorative Burst renamed to Reinvigorate Burst. It now provides affected units with 25% increased damage. Oh wow. They really want to force people to use Nikara. I'm not sure about this, guys. They say they want to include more variety, but it feels like they're definitely shoehorning people into making Nikara. I like it since she's green, but I don't know. It still feels like they're forcing people to do things. Lieutenant Nikara's XM77 Matrix Generator damage absorb increase from 200 to 400. Okay. So this is her ultimate. Her ultimate will now absorb more damage. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it's a buff. Vega's Dominate ability base duration increased from 150 to 240. That's actually pretty huge. That's about a 60% increase? I think so. A 60% increase? That's pretty massive. Vega's Mobius Psionic Motivator gear now increases attack speed 75%. Wow. Wow, these are big buffs for Vega. I'm liking these. Type 88 Persuader Grenade, or gear rather, now increases the Dominate's duration to 200%. Up from 100%. Definitely liking these changes for Vega in particular. I might want to get Vega more. And considering that they're also forcing people to use Nikara, yeah, maybe I'll get the Fixture Safe House a little bit more. One of the main reasons I like using Rattlesnake, not Rattlesnake, Crooked Sam and Sirius whenever I play Tychus is because Tychus's upgrades, the upgrades of Tychus himself, are found in the Gunslinger's Hideout where you can get Sirius and Crooked Sam. I feel like for their firepower and the upgrade opportunities give you without having to build an additional structure, that's the reason why I always pick Sirius and Crooked Sam first. I mean, aside from the fact that I've already I've really gotten the muscle memory of their controls in my memory. It's in muscle memory now, so I kind of press I on instinct to use the turrets of Sirius, and press K on instinct to use the stun grenade for Crooked Sam. Okay, Medevac pickup now cloaks units for 10 seconds, up from 5. Medevac pickup no longer instantly heals friendly units. Instead, it restores health over 10 seconds. If the unit takes damage during this period, both the cloaking and healing effect of Medevac pickup will be removed. Not a fan of that. I'm not sure why they felt the need to nerf the medevac pickup. Literally no one was complaining about this. But, you know, Blizzard giveth and Blizzard taketh away. I'm honestly not sure why they had to do this. I might not even get medevac pickup anymore, especially in high intensity mutations where you're forced to be fighting all the time. 10 seconds is a huge time to not be fighting if you're Tychus, since you only have 5 dudes. And apparently one of them right now will be forced to be Nikara. Yeah, that's not ideal either. Odin cooldown mastery increased from 1 second per point to 2 seconds per point. Maximum benefit increased from 60 seconds to 120. So you can summon the Odin a whole 2 minutes earlier. Can't really pass judgment on this for now. I can't really make a stance since these are text. I haven't played the buff slash nerf commanders, so yeah, I can't really tell based from this whether it's a net nerf or a net buff. We shall see. Next is Zeratul. Zeratul's Purity of Will trait now grants 10 Shadow Cleave damage, 50 shields, 1 additional charge of Blink per artifact instead of 25. Yeah, that sounds like a nerf. 100 shields. Health buff though, health buff. No wait, I'm blind. 10 Shadow Cleave to 25, 50 to 100. This looks like a buff. Okay, that looks like a buff, guys. All Legion cost increase. This is what I find. Yeah, this part I completely don't understand why Blizzard felt the need to do this. The cost increased to from 500 to 800. That's super expensive, especially when you need that to expand. So with full mastery, you will need 800 minerals to summon the Zoria Legion to expand on rock maps, which means you will likely be forced to adopt a Stalker expand or a Booster expand. Not really what I prefer, since I like units to just attack immediately rather than do things like breaking rocks. Anyway, Talbrus's energy regeneration increased from 0.563 to 3. So I guess he'll be able to spam more storms. Yeah, and the Sonic Storm range increased from 2 to 2.3. So the storm range the storm will have a bigger range. That means it makes it easier to splash down enemies. So that, again, okay with that. That's a buff. Talbrus's Psionic Storm now recharges the shields. Okay, like Artanis. Not bad, not bad. Talbrus's Psionic Storm will now only autocast if it finds 3 valid enemies, up from 1. Okay, so it's a whiff proof. It's an energy saver method, so that you'll only use it if there are 3 nearby. I'm okay with that. Talbrus Legion number of Zut summon increased from, I guess this is the number of artifacts. Base is 6 to base of 10. That's I think 67% increase in number of zealots. That's pretty huge. I might have to test Talbrus once again to see if they are good with expanding. Stay tuned. Sardath energy regeneration increased from 1.125 to 3. That might enable some cheesy strats. For example, Scythe of Amon, you can do some stuff like on there. Also, Vermilion Problem, Chain of Ascension. Yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna open up some opportunities for Zeratul to get some cheese in. Yeah, let's see. The cost of the cost might be too prohibitive. That's what I'm thinking. If it's 800 and you whiff on your summon, it's a complete waste. So yeah, there's a trade-off. Zeratul, Sardath, and Dark Archon Mind Control range. Okay, this is nice. I've always had trouble with Sardath derping behind stuff when I want them to mind control, for example, a carrier that's just behind an Archon or something, a bunker. Wait, a carrier and bunker, that makes no sense. A carrier behind the hybrid would be protected from the mind control. So this range increase will help against that. So that's nice. Actually, that's a buff. Zeratul, Sardath, and Dark Archon Maelstrom range increased from 10 to 9, or decreased rather from 10 to 9. Okay, that's fine. Resurrect Monolith initial charge is reduced to 1. So when you get the Tesseract Monolith, usually you get 2 charges before the nerf. Now after the nerf, you only get 1 charge. Definitely a nerf. Still don't understand though. No one was complaining about the monolith in particular, and it's just reducing it by 1. Okay. Stasis beam cooldown decrease from 180 to 90. Not sure about this. Especially for maps where you're in the middle, for example, Cradle of Death or Oblivion Express. Stasis beam will suck no matter what if you're in that kind of map. Maybe on Dead of Night it could be partially serviceable, but I don't think it's going to be as amazing as it could be, for example, on Chain of Ascension. If you use the what do you call that? Stasis beam, it chains or it captures everything in a straight line out to the end of the map, so it's pretty good on Chain of Ascension. Where was I? Avatar form Psionic Storm will now only auto-cast if it's fine. Okay, another storm buff. Okay with that. Avatar form Psionic Blast charge time decrease from 3 seconds to 1.5. I don't actually know what the Psionic Blast is. I will just leave it to you guys to mention what they are and if they are worth it. Avatar form summon charged crystal abilities cooldown decrease from 30 to 25. Okay, cooldown decrease, that means more summon charged crystals. That's good. Avatar of Essence evolution aura and damage reduction bonus decrease from 15 to 10. Again, I'm not a fan of nerfs. This is it's another one that seemed, I don't know, a bit uncalled for. Why? No, literally no one was complaining about this. Why would you do it? Anyway. Update tooltip for evolution aura to effect that provides a damage reduction benefit. Okay, good to know. Here's the big one. Tesseract cannon cost increased from 250 to 400. I'll just read this for now. Tesseract cannon, Tesseract Monolith shade prediction ability. Cooldown increased from 60 to 120. Tesseract Matrix decreased shade prediction cooldown by 25%, down from 20%. So they want to nerf the cost of cannons and nerf the time, or nerf the cooldown, the actual time delay it takes for you to be able to use the Tesseract again. Again, you can do one or the other, but I think both. I haven't actually played yet, but both sound a bit much. Tesseract. Okay, here we go. The Zelnaga Ambusher's Vengeance of the Void is no longer capped on a cooldown. Okay, so you can spam them. Ambusher's Vengeance of the Void now deals 50% of the Ambusher's weapon damage. Aww, another nerf. Man. Zelnaga Shield Guard's Reflection Shield cooldown increased from 60. Man, there's so many nerfs. So many nerfs. You guys better have a smarter cast once you guys are available again. The Zelnaga Annihilator's level 2 artifact ability now deals 25% of its anti-air damage as splash, down from another nerf. By the way, it's Enforcer, not Annihilator. Come on, guys. Come on, Blaze. Get yourself together. It's Enforcer, not Annihilator. Avatar cooldown mastery, says the guy who says Zeratul. Anyway, Avatar cooldown mastery increased from 2 to 4. Okay, so you can have basically construct every 2 or 3 minutes actually, or 2 or 5. It's gonna be pretty neat. Alright, so support cooldown mastery changed from -1 point to, or -1 second per point to -1% per point. Okay. Not really much to say about this. I will test Zeratul to see if it does make an impact, but for now I don't really see it until I've seen it in action. So with that, some bug fixes. Let me see. Trains Oblivion Express, here's a big one. No longer completely destroying themselves when they exit the map. I hope this works, because this is basically a free win for commanders whenever they play Oblivion Express. Just ignore the trains and clear the waves. You will automatically get EXP. Let's see. Fix the bug where aim assist embrasure is free. Yeah, if it's fun, Blizzard fixes it. But if it breaks the player's experiences, nope. Deal with it. Remove the button for the Imperial interest that imply was the detector. Oh, this is the medic, right? This is the medic. The Imperial blimp, the Imperial witness is the detector. Okay. Terrible damage mastery now interacts correctly with nuclear annihilation. Okay. So before it didn't impact? Fix the bug where deconstruct erosion is. Okay, guys. Someone made a comment last week on my channel asking about the deconstructive roach knights. Now it's fixed. Hooray for you. But the hotkey for the return cargo still persists. Let me actually show you guys. Here's my actual problem. Stetmann's mecha drone somehow has the unburrow mapped to his unburrowed command card. If you look at all the other drones, let me find, yeah, 1v1 drone, you can see in general it has the regular command card and burrow. For it has a separate tab for burrowed where you can choose to unburrow. For these normal Zerg, everything plays out fine. Since yeah, burrow for unburrowed and unburrow for burrowed. Simple. We find the drone here. Looks like they use the same drone. Anyway, the problem with the Stetboy's drone is that the unburrow is mapped to the unburrowed, and there is no command card for burrowed. So yeah, that is something I would really like Blizzard to fix, because I mastered the muscle memory of unburrow, and I'd rather not have to click it every time. Alright, I'd rather press the hotkey rather than mouse over and click and make sure I don't miss so I don't do anything by accident. Yeah, I'd rather not deal with having to manually click that. I'd rather deal with a hotkey. Finally, one of the things I've been asking for Alarak, adjusted colors in the Forge console skin to make it easier to understand your highlighted subgroup. Finally, it was so painful to always mess up which subgroup to have selected, because sometimes I would try to macro my ascendants, but it turns out I had the Deathly active, so the Militia and the Void Race were there, and that actually ate some precious time. I'd rather not lose that time. Alright, overall there were some expected and unexpected changes. I must have mentioned a dozen times by now, but I must withhold my stance on whether these are overall good or overall bad. And therein lies my main issue with this balance patch. For those who don't know, Blizzard announced the balance changes literally a day before they went live. Players had zero time to get feedback or even test the changes. Since the announcement they gave provided zero numbers. Yeah, here, look at that. Look at this. Look for any numbers, guys. I mean, aside from the date and the number of posts, look for any numbers here. 3 mutator. That's the only number. Brutal +1 and Brutal +4. Aside from that, do you see any numbers? No. The thing is, what they did is they just announced some changes, vague changes, and then implementing them a day later. That's yeah, not how I'd like them to handle things. Yeah, check out the co-op section of the forum. I think Blizzard is getting what they deserve. I've never seen it filled with so many complaints before. I've seen the general forums filled with complaints whenever Zerg wins another 1v1 tournament, 2019. But this is not normal for co-op. People are not satisfied with the way Blizzard handled this patch, and rightly so. Blizzard pushed these changes based on the insistence of a vocal minority that Brutal was apparently quote-unquote too easy, to answers Brutal Plus and heavy nerfs to the easiest commanders, and this really rubs me the wrong way. Not the changes about Zeratul themselves. Not the changes themselves. Again, I'm withholding my stance on the commanders until I've actually played them. But what I really dislike about this change is how they were completely silent for a whole year. They had a year to fix Zeratul and they were completely silent. And then making a sudden change without giving players any time to react, time to test, time to learn new builds before pushing it down. Imagine if they did this in 1v1. Just implementing after a year of silence, just throwing down your balance patch right there, giving all the players 1 day to react. How would 1v1 players feel? The chaos that would ensue in their community with pros having to relearn new builds because their race has been changed so heavily will not be a fun time. Again, 0 time to react and give feedback. Speaking of 0 time, they changed Arcturus within a month of releasing him. Never mind the tons of bugs that literally made the game unplayable for a huge chunk of the player base. This time, their shiny new commander is getting nerfs within a month of release. For me, this change was quite uncalled for because it touches the very way Arcturus takes its expansion. Once players had discovered something that apparently Blizzard did not expect, it's his opener. It's the first thing that you play when playtesting. How could you not have seen that? How could you not expect this if you tested this commander at all? If you change a commander with an month of release, you don't call that a revamp. You call that unfinished. The cherry on top is, of course, they did not give the player base any time to react whatsoever. No feedback asked. Just throw it there. 1 day later, go ahead with it. That's basically it. Guys, do you remember watching my very first level 90 video with Arcturus Mengsk and my latest one with him? Do you see how clueless I was in the first game? That was because it was my first level 90 video. I'm really seeing him for the first time, with Masteries anyway, and later on I've learned how to properly use him. It didn't take long, just a couple days in, and I was already soloing maps as Arcturus. Days! Not weeks, not months, days. Couldn't they give the player base at least that much time to test and react to the changes before pushing it down? What miffs me most is their reason for rushing it. Let me pull it up. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Because we wanted to get this update out before the holidays. This was their entire reason for rushing it. Because we wanted to get this update out before the holidays. That just reeks of rushing the changes and not testing it properly. Does it mean that they didn't test it? Not necessarily. But it is much easier to defend them when they give at least a week, if they give at least a week of lead time before pushing down the changes. At least you can say that they got feedback before doing it. You can at least say that they listened to feedback. Not if they give a day though. If a day, there's no time to listen to any feedback. Whatever you give, that's it. No one's reacting to any feedback given within a day. With this timeline, people will be much more likely to say that Blizzard doesn't listen to feedback or care what their player base thinks. This is my main problem with the balance changes, not the changes themselves. It's a completely preventable situation if Blizzard just took their time on it. Really, just take your time or prepare it earlier. After all, they already took over a whole year to make their Zeratul changes. What's another couple weeks? Will it really break the timeline if they delay it until the first week of next year? I mean, if it did, would it hurt to at least mention the Tychus, Zeratul, and Stetmann changes a week or two in advance? Just 1 or 2 weeks in advance. Surely they've had months to prepare on this, and with the kind of information they provide on the post. Again, no numbers. Surely they could have posted that a couple of weeks in advance with the actual numbers coming in even a week later. Is that so hard to do? What could be done to make sure this balance patch never happens again? Because in my opinion, the way this balance patch was handled, the balances themselves are, for me, yet to be evaluated, because I haven't actually played the commanders yet since the patch, because again, there is no time to play them. They just dropped the day immediately after they were announced. Yeah, what could be done to make sure this thing never happens again? Well, easy. Just do what you do with 1v1. Literally just give your player base the courtesy of knowing what the changes are with enough time for them to react and to provide feedback, instead of shoving them down their throats with little more than a day's notification. Whatever the changes are, once players figure out how to play them, they will still play them. If you give us the extra week or two to react, who knows? Maybe some of the changes will be a little different, if there is actually time to give feedback, or at least we'll have a better idea of how to play these commanders by the time the changes go live. Just show the respect to your loyal fanbase, Blizzard. It's all I'm asking for. Anyway, that was a long talk. That was a long, exhausting talk. Again, I'll test out the actual numbers. I'll test out the actual commanders to see the best ways to play them. Stay tuned. And hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea of what else we could do, please leave that in a comment. See you.